Hey guys, it's time to Nefis and chill, and in this video, we'll be going over the new in-game tutorial implemented in the Elder Scrolls Online for new players and new characters. This new tutorial will be coming packaged with the Blackwood Chapter, otherwise known as Update 30. I'm currently on the public test server as of week 3, and we'll be basically going over the, I think, in my opinion, the much more improved in-game tutorial. So here we're just going to actually play the tutorial. Alright, and we actually end up on a Balfiera loading screen. And per the Elder Scrolls tradition, just like in Cold Harbor, Skyrim, Oblivion, and so forth, we are a prisoner, and we actually wake up to Norian Way.
There you are, on your feet. I know magical translocation can really upset the stomach. Just take a moment and get your bearings, all right? The Isle of Balfiera, home of Clan Dorini. I apologize for the cramped accommodations. We pride ourselves on courtesy, but circumstances here have taken a turn for the bizarre. I needed to make sure you weren't a danger to yourself or others.
So we are actually in the Isle of Balfiera, and for the lore seekers out there, there's a lot of lore implications. And Dorini is going to be a very familiar name to, I think, most Elder Scrolls players for sure. And we're just going to kind of skip through the dialogue here, just to save some time on the video. But basically the premise of the tutorial story here is... Well, she'll explain them.
And unleash them on the island. If I free you, will you help me stop Ce-Nex?
That's pretty much it. You somehow arrived in this, on this isle with a Daedric harvester called Ce-Nex, and you basically have to learn the ropes, and that's pretty much it. And we'll go over
Just give me a moment. There, that should unlock the door.
So that first one interact obviously with the NPC and the door, and we're gonna follow Norian Way, and we're gonna talk to her outside the cell.
There you are. Free as a spring cricket.
And she also gets to say she's like part of the intelligence branch of the
I need
Dorini.
to know you can defend yourself. Hurtling through the Orbis and falling flat on your ear left you a bit scattered. Find a weapon, and we'll work out the cobwebs. Fair.
And the player can obviously ask questions. What's a Q-kiie gallery? It's basically a room full of portals that you guys will get to see at the end of the video. And then you can talk to her about the golems that you can kind of practice on throughout the entire area. And just kind of some side lore. And this is probably a really cool part here. I mean, you can choose which weapons you want to take. Do you want to try daggers? Do you want to try a bow? Do you want to try fire staff, healing staff, sword and shield, great axe? I think a lot of beginner players will probably go with like a bow or sword and shield or great axe. So we'll go with the great axe.
Larger weapons like staves and great axes will take both hands to use. You can test. Yes, I think that one suits you. If you change your mind, feel free to take any other weapon you want. Now, let's find a spot to practice.
I'm going to enter the Balfiera ruins. And this is probably my favorite part of the tutorial. Because, well, you'll see.
This is as good a place as any. Now, prepare yourself while I conjure up a dance partner. Let's begin. Quickly now, strike the construct.
So, you can't move, you can't really do anything. It's kind of similar to the old Cold Harbor quest, but it's in a much more very focused, narrow environment in which you need to perform these actions several times over and over, and then the game will let you progress. I think this is a pretty good step for newer players. Obviously, this is not as great as a lot of player-made guides out there from like Outcast, myself, or whoever else is making content for ESO for whatever, right? But still, it's a good start. It's a good step, I would say.
Marks. Well done. Now, well done.
We just need this a couple more times.
Brilliant. Ready yourself. Block its strikes. Quick, strike while it's off balance. That's the way. Well done. Protect yourself. Give it everything you've got. Raw strength, that. Wonderful. Block its strike.
I really like how the
Strike
edges of the
hard,
screen
now.
also turn blue, so you can actually just focus on, you know, just the tummy, right?
Now some foes will try to
I
restrain
think
you.
the indicators of heavy attacks and all that,
Break free.
I think, was pretty clear.
Again, make ready. You ready to break free?
So I feel like
Now bash the construct
for
before
breaking
it
free,
strikes.
it should say like, oh, there's a like, it should say like, oh, there's like a cooldown on, you know, you getting CC'd, but it's kind of minor. But I feel like they could definitely shove a little bit more details into the combat of ESO, because it is a very unique combat system compared to other MMOs like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy or whatever. And I think that's where a lot of newer players get tripped up on the combat system. I mean, obviously it's a really great combat system when it's working, but I feel like there should be a lot more details here, if possible.
Now press your advantage with a heavy attack. Again, halt its attack. Interrupt now, before it strikes. When your enemy prepares an attack. Good, now destroy it.
I also hate that they could have had a moment here where, hey, here's a skill. You want a light attack and use a skill, or heavy attack, use a skill, or whatever. Like, but it's kind of like encouraging people to just light attack when the combat system is a lot more beautiful and a lot more complex than that. But again, this is the PTS, so hopefully someone from from the dev side will watch this video and be like, oh, okay, we could potentially put some of these in. I mean, they could even have like these little tooltip or little pop-up hints or clues on the screen right now and say, hey, you know, you can weave.
Well done. Come speak with me for a moment.
And you guys will see as we do this tutorial that there are actually pretty well-timed tips on the screen that pop up as you progress through the tutorial, which I think is great. But I feel like they could have definitely improved the combat training aspect of this a little bit more. But I do like the fact that it does kind of force you to just stay in this one spot and then carry out the deeds until until you're successful and you move on. Of course, there's also things like this, although I failed the sneak. But yeah, just like this tip on the right and tip on the middle, as we can see, I mean, these should have been present on the combat aspect of the tutorial. Let's keep going. And it's also a beautiful area, honestly. If you look at the map, you can see the Isle of Balfiera, but if you zoom out on the map, you can also see that, you know, a lot of people have speculated one of the towers to be here and so forth, or near here. So you are actually present on the world map. It's not somewhere, like, outside of the world map, kind of like the first stage of Cold Harbor in the tutorial. But I genuinely do like this tutorial a lot more than the other one. I think it definitely lets players kind of have some time to get adjusted to the game a little bit more. I'm not sure what the spawn rate is, if there is even any. We can test it real quick. Looks like there's another player here as well. Okay, if there's another player here as well, then there's probably a spawn rate for these ads. I had assumed from the preview server that this was a solo instance, but doesn't seem to be. Looks like that player has figured out how to cast skills.
The key rights gallery is in here. Let's head inside. Well, this is upsetting. Zephyr's bones. Unless you have a set of enchanting tools and a working knowledge of meteoric empowerment theory, no, there's nothing for it. We need to find a replacement. I saw one in a vault just south of here a few days ago, but it was flanked by one. Of course, let's.
And you can ask her about, well, what are sky shards?
Clusters of meteoric glass. They fall from Aetherius. It's a monstrous sentinel called a goggle.
And then I think at this point, the player, I mean, I feel there should have been an option here, or not option, a tooltip on the middle screen. Hey, press M or
All right.
menu on your controller or your mouse and keyboard to see the map. Look at the map. Otherwise, though, I think people familiar with Skyrim, these markers are more than capable of going for the objectives, at least from the compass alone.
The sky shard.
Of course, we have to kill this gargoyle. And just in case players do stand in, you know, stupid, the NPC heals you. And here, I guess players will be more familiarized with the concept of sky shards and collecting sky shards.
Absorb the energy of that shard. Incredible.
Even the NPC kind of comments that, hey, that's kind of unusual.
Let's head back to the gate.
Which should give, you know, any player a hint that, hey, you should probably look out for those in the future. Also, we do get the seals of endeavor from killing something. That's something I think some new players will be curious about.
Focus on the sky shard action. With any luck, for a moment, it'll respond to the power you absorbed and unlock the gate.
Alright, so we just gotta wait for Norden to come here. I'm gonna have to talk to her.
I'm afraid we've reached the really scary bit. Again, I'm just a scholar, but I...
Alright, and then we're gonna enter the antechamber in the gallery, and we're just gonna have to focus Shazo the Traveler. And I think during this fight, you'll be familiarized with the basic stuff that would be present during boss fight. AoE, heavy attack, you need to block that. And of course, mechanic, where the orbs can heal her. And this kind of goes in a cycle to kind of get the player familiarized with the, you know, basic fundamentals of a PvE fight. And then of course that gives us loot, sort of introducing the concept, or the very old concept of quality loot from a quality mob.
By all the stars, look at the central column. I had no idea it was concealing something like this. Let's get a closer look.
And we're just gonna go down you can go down either the left or right staircase, doesn't really matter. And you finally enter the Q-kiie's gallery, and this is probably one of the best parts of the tutorial, because as someone who wanted to play ESO with my in real life friends, it was very extremely frustrating for me to like try to get a bearing on like where they were starting as a beginner. You know, one year it would be Morrowind and the next year it would be Somerset. And it's like, well, and then they would ask me, well, how do I start the original quest line? How do I start in, you know, base game storyline? I think a lot of players will actually ask that. And a lot of players I've seen on Reddit, the forums and so forth, have asked, hey, in what order should I do the game? And I think that this will kind of help solve some of those issues. I think this will definitely help players kind of coming into the game decide where they should start, or with who they should start with, where. But yeah, let's talk to Nordway. And as you can see, it's like, as I said in the preview video, so there's music coming from the portals as well. That's pretty cool. I didn't notice that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a lot of portals here. Just like, as I said in the preview, it's like Super Mario.
Can you believe this? Just look around. With this arcane helix exposed, the
And then of course there's some lore here, and then she kind of explains the premise, or rather the stories that we encounter in the Elder Scrolls Online, from the base quest line to the Cyrodiil PvP to the recent chapter of Greymoor. Ah yes.
The Key Rights Gallery opened doors to every corner of town.
And then she gives you a skill point, soul magic skill line, and a strong box. You complete the quest. And the players can actually ask her any thoughts on where she should go. And this is where you can kind of learn just the background story, very brief background story of the base game, like the Three Alliance War.
You can visit and Daggerfall.
Or you can say, hey, maybe somewhere outside of that base game area. Elsewhere, Somerset, and, you know, Greymoor.
Certainly. One of these gates.
But yeah, that is basically the tutorial. And we can kind of look at each one. This is Blackwood. And this is going to be Elsewhere. Somerset, Greymoor, and there's a few more portals here, I believe. I think that's Morrowind for sure right there. This is the one of the 3 base game islands. And Strassenkai, that's EC, and then there's AD. And if you want to kind of explore the other areas of this place, I mean, the only other areas are the staircases. I'm sure that they can expand this room for sure to include future chapters, but yeah, pretty good. What do you guys think about this new tutorial? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think it's a better improvement overall compared to the old one? Are you excited to play perhaps with your friends that haven't played ESO yet, and they can choose from here and coordinate with you better? I think that's the part I'm most excited for. In terms of the combat and so forth, I know that they can't make it obviously too complicated, but I think they could improve for sure in some basic things, like, hey, here's the concept of heavy attacking with dots down, or light attack weaving with, you know, some spammables. But beyond that, I think they did a pretty good job overall with the rest of the tutorial. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the new chapter.